Hello, everybody, and welcome to Keeping It Spiritually Simple. I'm your host, Sandra McGellis, and today Kimberly Brighton is back to chit chat about all kinds of things that are going on in the universe. But before she gets started, I would like to ask each and every one of us to join us by hitting the like, subscribe, share, comment button. If you're listening to us on podcasting, social media, you are welcome to jump over to the YouTube page, Sandra McEllis, and look at faces, voices, and personalities. So, welcome everyone. So, Kimberly Brighton, we are going through some, what I would say, what's shown to me is like raining energy. It's like raining from the sky energetically with different colors is what I see. What I've been feeling, especially the last 48 hours. Now we are at the 13th of November that we're recording this. So just in the last 3 days, especially, I have noticed this inner rev, like I'm revving, like my heartbeat is up, like I can hear it low lying in my ears even when I have not, say, done anything strenuous, like taken a quick run up the stairs or whatever.
Mhm.
I'm noticing that I'm rushing more, like I'm go, 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 revving up. And almost to the point where I've had to look at my speedometer on my car and go, whoa, what are you in such a hurry for? As I'm walking, I almost felt my one ankle roll a little bit 2 times in 2 different days. The second time it was Sandy. Slow down,
Yeah.
connect with your breath, get that nervous system in alignment. Yes, this is beautiful feminine energy hitting the planet, but it's also very, very intense. And feminine energy can be very, very intense. I've had dreams of the bear. I've had a lot of things happening, as I'm sure these viewers are. And for some of you who may not know what is happening, Kimberly has a wonderful way of sort of explaining it from different points of views with tools like astrology and intuitive and just her connection with animals. So Kimberly, what the hell is going on?
Well, one part of it is we got hit with massive solar flares and the ears buzzing, the body buzzing. For those of us that are highly sensitive, we're definitely feeling that. Also, factor in that we're in Scorpio season, which is eighth house, which is death and rebirth. Think of a scorpion, it's likes to hide in the dark. So it's really taking us down into deep waters. And today we have Magdalene and Vesta in the mix, and that is really beautiful energy to go behind the heart, put that golden light on there, and go as deep into those waters, put some gold on it and alchemize it up. But it is very intense energy. So it doesn't surprise me that, that you're feeling that way, but it is beautiful if you stand in that regulated nervous system and do the alchemical work. And then that ripples out into ways that we couldn't even imagine. But it is intense. It's not easy, and it's not for the faint of heart. But I know that I'm sure that those watching are committed to this know thyself journey, this great work journey. And sometimes that can just be super intense. I know there are days where I'm like, I'm just gonna fire myself. I've had it, and then 30 seconds later, it's like, okay, well, I can't fire myself. I've committed to this work, but it is intense, and it can. I'm glad that you're recognizing. Especially, I'm glad you didn't roll your ankle all the way, because those signs can come in and be like, okay, slow it down a little bit. And we're in the final shedding stages of the year of the snake, which has really been shedding so much that to get us to our authentic place, our highest authentic place. And then we're going to move into the year of the horse. It's going to be fast. It's horses. Think of what they represent. I love that we're going into the year of the horse, of course.
I bet you are.
Yeah.
Horse medicine woman.
Right. But courage, freedom, authenticity. So this is what we're moving into, and it's the fire horse, so it will be very fast. And also, we're moving in with these outer planets going fire and air. So get ready. And if you've really been committed to this work, then you should be excited and ready for some faster moving energy. I know for me, this year of the snake it's been challenging, and I think for everybody. I mean, you just look out on the world stage, and it's difficult. It's when you know that systems are collapsing under the weight of their own lies. Maybe I should speak for myself. It's a little difficult to watch the cognitive dissonance and the clinging on. And I know that for me, I have to observe, don't absorb, or my heart just, it's a struggle with it, because I can't, my human brain just cannot wrap my head around some of the atrocities that are taking place. So I don't think that's going to slow down. I think that it will become more and more extreme on the side of new earth, new human, and mutually beneficial exchange of energy amongst your fellow man and those that are clinging on to systems that are just no longer going to exist. And if you follow human design, gene keys, these sort of things, 2027, we're there with that transmutation of the new earth, new human, and so we're in it. And it's exciting, but it's powerful and it's intense.
Yeah, just thinking when you were talking there about what we're transitioning into, the fire horse, and I was getting this vision of this whole past year. I feel like I have been not necessarily Groundhog Day as much, but almost as if I have wanted to get ahead of myself and I've had the reins pulled back on me. And so everyday life seems very boring. And just, I'm only getting glimpses of higher realms of what I would call that this whole different feeling, and you get addicted to it, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, sure.
And it feels like much more of your happy place. But at times it's been very low mo, and to the point where now that I am feeling like I'm so revved up, like I have so much energy for whatever before the alarm comes on in the morning to long after, I really should be in bed. I'm going, going, going. And so with that being said, it's like, there's that Avenger character. I don't know if it's an Avenger, but he's the one that can do everything really fast.
Yeah.
And everyone else is like, he can run around everyone and they would never know it because it's like air.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in that mode. And
Yeah.
then every time I have to like slow down and listen to mundane everyday conversations,
Yeah.
I'm sort of like, stop talking. Just, I can't, I don't want to be here. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to be here. And so that's the messages I was getting while you were describing that. So there's a lot. I did not know there were solar flares.
I'm sorry, what's that?
No, I did not know that there were solar flares. My body was telling me something was up.
That's why, and we had the Aurora Borealis here in Sedona that was just incredible, but people all around the world were seeing it. So I think it went up to what they would, Stefan Burns has a good channel and very scientifically based, which I really appreciate. And I think it went up to G5 and it simmered down, but yeah, I mean, it just blasted the planet. So we had that come in, but we also have 5 planets, it might even be 6 now, planets in retrograde. So everything's slowed down. And that's the deep waters of Scorpio, really that last shedding. And it can be very frustrating, especially when you've done the work, and we got glimpses of it throughout this year. But then we hit a retrograde, and Neptune plays a part in this because we're flipping from Pisces to Aries, and so when retrograde, we go back into kind of this fogginess. And so because we got a glimpse of it, yes, of course, like, oh yes, I've been waiting for that glimpse, and then it just kind of becomes intangible again. And that's very frustrating. It's because we see it and we're ready for it. And we've been doing this work for those moments. And then we kind of get pulled back into this collective sludge. And, I know there are days where it's like, why aren't y'all doing this work? Why don't you come on? But then I have to remind myself, not everybody's meant to. So I have to just observe, absorb. I'm not behind the potter's wheel. And that can be very frustrating at times. I'm a generator. So when I'm in frustration, I'm out of alignment. I have to remember, okay, what kind of self-talk, what kind of perception change do I have to have so I can come back into satisfaction? And that generally is, okay, I'm doing my work, I'm doing my best, and that's all I can do. I can't control anything outside of myself other than how I respond to it. So if I find myself in a reaction, I have to take a deep breath, go outside or move my body, pull an oracle card, do whatever it is that I have to do to come back into a perspective change so that I remember, like, that's not my journey, that I'm on my journey, and that's the only journey I can be on. And that can be honestly very frustrating at times when you look out at the world stage, because I can't wrap my brain around it some days.
I'm right there with you, and I feel it on levels where, I just, there's most of the time, okay, I just got to go home. I'm done with all you people in the world and what you've got to do to sell your soul to make your life, and nothing's changing in your particular world. And at the same time, I have to look at things like, if I was in the kitchen making, 5 or 6 different things, each thing would take a certain amount of time to cook. It would need a certain timer on it. And every single human on this earth maybe has a different timing chain.
Yeah.
And that's how I've looked at it for years. So it's helped me um, bypass some of the frustration and the sandpaper and the irritation of, like, I want to throttle someone and shake
Yeah.
them. But I've been past that for a couple years. But at the same time, now I'm more like, okay, you guys know something's here. You know something's changed. You know something's different. But then you want to take your egoic mind and logic and figure, oh, well, it's the government. Well, it's this. Well, it's that. Well, not necessarily has anything to do on this surface.
Mm-hmm.
And did you ever think about maybe going past some of the programs in which you've been indoctrinated and perhaps maybe open your heart to a possibility that something else is available? So if you tell me that whatever it is you're indoctrinated with has a higher purpose, a higher, self, like a god or whatever you want to call it, but then you're not really following that, right? You're stuck in the pages of what you've been told.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do know that religion's going to be, one of those things that more and more and more people are pulling away from.
Well, and if you look at, I mean, we'll just take Christianity, 2000, we all have a bloodline. And there are something called Colonta notes, which is the communication of your blood. So instead of focusing on those bloodlines, go inward and focus on your own bloodline. And the way I see it is, so many people have these energetic grids that if they don't access the keys for, the fear comes up and they live in that state because it's so deeply ingrained in the epigenetics of their bloodline. And one has to want to have answers and to change. And I find that most people, I mean, in the work I do, 5% of people will actually do the work. And once you start doing the great work, you don't stop doing the great work. And so that is a personal choice. And I find that, I mean, statistically, it's quite low. And I've just had to, like I said, some days I find myself wanting to proselytize, and I have to remind myself, like, no, I did that during the Ron Paul revolution time when I was heavily involved in that movement, and I learned a lot of very valuable lessons that I no longer care to participate. I don't think one side is going to fix it over the other side. I'm not on a team. I just don't find any value in it. As far as I don't even now, if it even comes up in my feed, I just snooze it because it's a waste of my time to give it any energy. So I think, we talked about this last show that I do not consent mind, body, spirit. So I'm not 100% away from it because it's the main stage, but I do my best just not to give it anything because it literally is a loosh,
Totally.
you know.
Totally. And for those who don't know what loosh is, would you like to maybe give a little explanation of what that is?
Sure. So think about like when you have when we see like a Super Bowl or a big game or a big concert, and you have a large amount of people in a room, and there is, and you may not notice it, but it's ritualized. There is a release of energy where more than one are gathered, even in church. I mean, where more or one are gathered, and there's a psycho spiritual activation, and you feel it, and you're in you're releasing energy, and that is being sucked from you, and that is a loosh. So it's good to protect your energy. It's good to have a discipline every morning, and I light a candle, I put my gold energy around me. Protect your energy, your sovereignty. It's yours, and know that there are energies that want to take from you. And it doesn't
Mhm.
have to even be, take it out of the big conspiracy realm. It can be you're in a room with people and there's an activation, there's somebody in there that, you know, just feeds off other people's energy.
Right. And if you really sit back and look at your life, like just in this now moment, and you say, okay, my job owns me. They own me. I participated, I've contracted with it. Whether I got educated in it or not, but this is what has gone on for, many moons. This
Mhm.
job owns me because I am codependent and fully dependent on this job for sustainability.
Mhm.
My house owns me. In order for it to stay my house, I must have this job in order to pay all of that. I've entered into relationship, spouse, whatever. And now I'm committed and pretty much in ownership of that, right?
Yeah.
And then if I have offspring, I'm in ownership of that. If I have pets, I'm in ownership of
Yeah.
that. If I've joined committees, I'm in ownership of that. So if you really look around it, everything is looshing off of you
Yeah.
because that is splintering all of your energy. Now, is it wrong? Is it what a lot of people do, to say that this is their LIFE? Absolutely not. But what makes it more right is when you sit back and acknowledge it and recognize it and say, hey, I chose that. Is this what I still choose?
Yes.
And do I want to make some steps towards pivoting away from that?
Yeah.
Maybe less is more. What do I really want? Is my relationship where it needs to be? Have I worked on it? Is it something that we want to have? Where are my offspring at
Yeah.
this
Do you feel
time?
energized by it,
Absolutely.
or does it drain you?
Yes.
And that's a real simplistic, very easy way, just hands on the belly. Like, how do I really feel about that? I'm exhausted every time I even step into work. I'm exhausted. I avoid going home because of A, B, or C. And start getting curious about how you feel. Your nervous system will never steer you wrong, which is why the nervous system is, knowing the language of your nervous system is where it's at. And a lot of people just don't even know that their nervous system is trying to tell them anything,
Yes.
and
And
that's,
yeah, that's the beautiful thing about stepping into your innate self and having dialogue with that.
mhm,
And, we can say, like, for example, I have one part-time job that I would like to see gone, but it has truly been sustainable and has been a fallback when other things have been going on. But times are changing within that unit of that job. So just the other day, I had to go to it and I was sitting in the parking lot going, oh my gosh, I don't want to go in here. Oh my gosh, I just don't want to do this. I really have to align my energy in order to, number one, contain my energy and not let it be looshing out all
Mhm.
over everybody and everything, whether it excites them or feeds them or brings them down or brings them joy. It didn't matter. I needed to contain it.
Mhm.
But I also needed to say to myself, be careful what it is that you're circulating through your energy and your nervous system, your words, your thoughts, and your feelings. Be careful with that, because you could say, I don't want that. Next thing you know, it's gone, but then you really need it. You didn't
Yeah.
go on your terms.
Yeah.
So if we could all sit back and really just look at what have we allowed in our life and what veins is energy going to, and is each of those veins a healthy flow?
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's, and again, it's about getting curious and responding, not reacting, because in the moment we can be overwhelmed with emotion and make a decision that later, like you said, be like, oh damn, I kind of needed that. Now, generally something else will come in the more curious that we get, and we start, the more magnetized that we are, and which is when we're authentically ourselves and we're in a high vibration, then the universe is responding and we're magnetizing. um, but these are very, very interesting times, and money is a huge thing, and we're all connected. Really, it's currency, and at the core of that currency is, it's not exactly pretty down there, and at that core connection, but we're all connected to it. And so we're finding our way through this new way of being with that currency. And how do we really align mind, body, and soul so that we're feeling good about it? I mean, I don't care how much work I do, the system is, it is what it is. And so there's always going to be a certain amount of hypocrisy. So we pick our hypocrisies, we pick our poisons, and then we do our best to align with that and not beat ourselves up for that. Because it's, I mean, they've got the, I they, I don't, the ubiquitous they, um, there's no point in fighting that, in my opinion, because when we're speaking about kind of an energy 101, when we fight it, we can get it tenfold back. So it's like, how do I make peace with this and best align ethically in mind, body, spirit with a system that um isn't going anywhere anytime soon. It is collapsing, but we've got to go through this amazing process of alchemy. And alchemy is simply when two forces come together and there's an explosion, and then that third path makes its way. And that's the golden path, the middle path, the Christ Magdalene line. And that's a whole interesting process. And so we're going through it individually and we're going through it collectively. And that's a lot. I mean, there's no other way around it. It's
Mm-hmm.
a lot.
Yeah, and your energy is like a boomerang. Be careful how you hold that energy within the boomerang and what you put out there, because it will come back to you. So make
Mhm.
sure when you're holding that boomerang, you're aligning it with what you want to put out there, so that when it does come back, it's not hitting you with a hard lesson. Now, we do ask for our lessons. It's taken me a long time through my work to get to the point where it's like everything is a lesson. There is no good, there is no bad, there is no really indifferent. If I stay neutral and I look at everything as a lesson, my nervous system, my emotional system do not do as much yo-yoing.
Mhm.
I don't dip down to that, oh, shame, blame, whatever,
Mhm.
uh up to highs. I pretty much stay, like this, and I have control on that dial, because nobody else, no other external things that are going on should ever control that dial ever. It's one of the things that I've worked on and that I teach. That is your dial. That is what, and you lock it, load it and lock it every single day by,
Yeah.
like you said, Maybe light a candle in the morning, maybe have a little meditation, maybe, while you're stirring your tea, you're doing some whatever throughout yourself. You're connecting with your breath. You're in the
And
shower. Just tiny things to protect yourself.
yeah, and make it something that you like to do instead of
Hmm.
like, gotta do my morning stuff. It's like,
Hmm.
no, you get to do it. You get to have this beautiful day. Every day is a death and a rebirth. Every day the sun rises and it's there for you. It might be a little cloudy today. There's like a controlled burn. So, it's not really see, but it's there. And every day is a new chance to say, okay.
Because that
And let
sun comes up, whether you see it or feel it or not, it is there.
That's right. That's right. And so make it enjoyable. And some mornings it's not, but I mean, I wake up in a mood where I'm just like, I've got to, I just don't feel like, hi son. It's more like there's a lot coming in. There's shadow coming in, there's an inner critic coming in, there's all these different factors. But when I take the time to really light a candle and sit with it and say, okay, this is how I feel today waking up, but I'm going to go ahead and shift that. I surround myself in gold. You may find a color that may not even be a practice you're interested in, but you find something that works for you. And my dogs and horses are a big part of that. And I just have to silence the inner critic. And that's my responsibility. I'm only responsible for myself and how I respond to life and not react to it. And, that's a lot of the work that I teach. And, horses are very good for mirroring that sort of thing. But there was a time in my life where I was very reactionary and cut off my nose to spite my face. I go back often to my inner child and, throughout my life and give her a little noogie and just, give her a hug and say, okay, you're kind of acting up today a little bit. So let's calm it down and let's remember I'm here. I'll never leave you again. But what's going on? And get curious. I have dialogue with all different stages of myself every day. So it just becomes easier when you have these tools and you're familiar with it. And it's like, okay, because I very much can tell which part of me is activated at any given time because I have clear communication with all parts of myself, and sure, there are
Yeah.
some days where I'm like, are we doing this again? And then I even have to hear myself like, first off, you said you'd never leave her. And now you're talking to her the way that kind of put her in that situation in the first place. So let's look at that inner dialogue. Let's look at that and then have some compassion and be like, okay, like you said, there's no right or wrong. It's just there's lessons. And so I'll give an example today. This is one for me today. I have a checking account that I just don't do really much stuff in it, and I keep a very minimal amount in there. And today I got a notice that said it was like $4 short for something like an automated thing that I'd sent, and I forgot to put money in there. So it was $4 short. And I was just like, I started to kick my ass, and it's like, wait a minute. You put money in there, there was money in there, you just forgot it's $4 short. You always keep a certain amount of money in there. This month it was a minor error. It's $4. It got paid. Take a deep breath. It's not the end of the world. Quit being a perfectionist. People make mistakes. You didn't fail at anything. It got paid. You have money in the other account. This isn't catastrophic. So let's let that go, chalk it up to human error, and it's okay. But there was a good half hour where how could I have been so stupid? How could you make such a stupid mistake? $4, oh, sorry, I don't know if we
That's okay.
Okay, four fucking
Four
dollars.
fucking dollars. You
How?
can say it.
Thank you. I'm a cusser. And then I had to really just take a deep breath and be like, thankful they paid it. thankful I have the money in the other account. It's not like I'm, you know, destitute and I don't even have $4. It's like, let's flip the script on this. And then I went really and sat with, I'd say probably around 21-year-old self. And because that's what it felt like. I felt like, how did, this is a ridiculous mistake. Okay, but it's just a lesson. Maybe we slow down a little bit. So I made a promise to myself that on Sundays we're going to sit down and have a little money date, and we're going to look at some stuff, and maybe there's a little bit of money love, and maybe I'm moving too fast. Maybe I need to have a nurturing conversation with myself around money and sit there and really get a little bit better about each week having some what's it called, budgeting, and just honoring the fact that I have abundance coming in and out. And that's a good way to really calm the nervous system. And it was like, okay, Sundays, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit out with the horses. I'm going to look at balances and see what's being done, and probably switch that card into into the other account, and just not have anything in auto pay so I don't make that mistake again. But that's maybe a silly example, but that is an example of what came up for me today, and how I really had to sit with myself and not beat myself up over a simple mistake. It was just, I'm human.
Yes. And I think one of the things when you're doing work or just having a better relationship with yourself, to know thyself deeper, then you recognize, oh, I just overreacted, or I just did this. And then you switch it around by saying, hey, listen, I'm going to change my vibration towards that frequency, towards that currency that's called money. It could be any topic of
Yeah,
any
sure.
kind, but it's what is your vibrational frequency? And did it get immediately go spike off the charts, or did it go like this? Did it go down? And so if you start maintaining that, some people want to
Yeah,
call it your mood. You do whatever you want with it. It's a vibrational frequency, and
yeah,
it is your choice. All of it is your
right.
choice. No one made you spike up or go down.
Nope,
And it's your
nope,
job to get back up to status quo baseline.
that's
And
right.
so that's what I mean by, having control of that dial. And
Mhm.
what you were talking about, having the conversations with self, I literally lately have been going around in public just talking to myself,
Yeah.
ignoring everyone around me. And if I look up and someone happens to be looking at me, how you doing?
Mhm.
And then I just turn around and walk away. And I do not think about them thinking she's cuckoo for coconut puffs, or if she's a
Yep.
walking comedy show, or if she's weird. It doesn't phase me.
Mhm.
I'm literally having conversations with myself, and they're out loud, and that's okay, you
Yeah,
know? So
yeah,
we've got to figure out how we're going to find some homeostasis through a lot of these crazy energies that are coming in right now that might seem like it's derailing you,
yeah.
because it does feel like it's pushing from the heart. And I am having to really override it and sit down and go, whoa, I feel like everything wants to come out of my chest. Why is that? Well, I had the normal amount of caffeine. I started looking at that part of it. And it's like, okay, that's too much for right now. That's too much for right now.
Mhm.
And it is forcing me to stay in every millisecond,
That's right.
adding up to the minute. And some of us are so used to leaping that because we're on autopilot.
Mhm.
And so then I'm having to look at things all around me, and then I'm going, a little ADD's kicking it. Oh, and it's like, whoa,
Mhm.
that's old nervous system, Sandy. That's
Mhm.
old nervous system. Recognize it, make the change. Don't let it spike you to the point where you're rolling your ankle,
Yeah,
or you're bypassing. Oh, I forgot about that auto pay on my
yeah,
thing, or I forgot about this,
yeah,
or I left the grocery store without that, and or
yeah. The
something.
spiraling,
Yeah, yeah,
and and again, we're humans, so compassion with ourselves, kindness. I mean, the fact, if you're even doing this work, if you're brave enough to go in and know thyself, compassion is so important. And it's easy to lose sight of that in the moment, because now I'm an emotional solar plexus in human design. So I feel everything, and I have to, and not that we don't all feel everything, we just feel it different when, as opposed to a sacral authority. And I have to remember that I have to ride that emotional wave because I never have the answer in the now moment. And then I get to that place of neutrality, and it's like, okay, I did the work. I did the alchemical work to bring myself back into that balanced state. And then if I need to make a decision, I make a decision. Or if I just alchemize the incident, it's like, and that's very satisfying, which is again when a generator is in alignment. So I'm like, okay, that was very satisfying. Now that I'm on the other side of it, boy, did I just learn something. I got to connect with that part of myself. I did a healing that ripples out in the universe. We don't know where, that butterfly effect. And so a lot of times I'll just kind of imagine stars, gold stars shooting out of me, and allowing that to go wherever it's going to go into the universe. But I do believe that every time that we have that conversation and get curious and we do that work, that does ripple out somewhere and help someone, even if it's, and we just don't know. But I am a big believer in that. And that's where I believe that the miracle of this work happens. And we just don't know where the tipping point is. And it's not our job to know. It's our job to know ourselves. And however you come to that work, for me, it's alchemical, it's emotional alchemy. It's very satisfying when I make it through that. And I cuss at the universe quite a bit. Like I said, I quit. I'm done. I'm just done. I don't need to learn this lesson again. I'm tired of it. I'm done. Leave me alone.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sit with that, and then I have the alchemical experience. And generally there's something that comes in. It's like, okay, yes, you do know more than me. Yes, I surrender. And this was ego little Kim self instead of the higher self and the alchemically healed part of myself. And then I remember why I do this work, because it's so satisfying when I'm on the other side of those experiences. But when we're in them, they can really suck.
Absolutely. And you know what? In order to look at the lesson, we have to look at the experience and how did
That's
the
right.
experience feel and where did it rate on our whatever scale we decided to, put it on, and then say, don't think I'll do that again. Or, oh,
Yep.
I think I'll stop it here. Oh,
Yep.
I don't think I'm going to walk through that again at all. Or,
Yeah.
hey, might like a little of it. I loved it. It just, everything's an experience in order for you to look at it as a lesson and to figure out where
And the
your
mirror.
barometer is.
Yeah, it's a mirror.
Yeah. And the good news is when you tune into the alchemy part, you can know when to transmute, and you start getting on autopilot with that, which is really cool too.
Yes.
So
Yes. It becomes second nature. It just, you just grab your toolbox and you know what's going on because you know thyself. And like I said, everybody has a bloodline. So the signs for me, my personal signs and symbols in my bloodline, it takes me, sometimes it's past life. Sometimes it's, a whole series of stuff that's coming up. And I know that I'm alchemizing for my entire bloodline and all my relations. And that's a very satisfying. And then there are times where it's like, you guys were a bunch of jerks. And how am I supposed to wrap my heart around this? That, the cruelty. And for me, this goes to war. I have a personal, a lot of times the war that just seems to have always been. And, then I'm like, okay, I'm not at war with anyone, including myself, and I can sit with that. But the male energy in my bloodline, and there are days where I find it hard to wrap my head around and forgive, and so I try not to stay in that place, but sometimes it does take longer than just the moment to alchemize it, because it's so big and it's so much. And I would say that probably the male part of but then I have a masculine, so it's like, why wouldn't I want to do this? But
absolutely.
there are days where it was hard to, it's still, if it comes up, I'm pretty well through that now. I think because I do see stuff come up in my feed that it can activate that part of me. And then I have to have the inner dialogue and get to a place of that alchemized feeling of, okay, now it's my entire bloodline. And I think that for me personally, this year of the snake, that's what that's been about. And so as we're in this Scorpio season, that's why I feel like this is coming up again so intensely for me in off and on this entire year, is because we are going down, 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 down into the depths of Scorpio, the eighth house, death and rebirth. And there's another rock that we need to pick up and shine light on, that Scorpio, that scorpion down there that doesn't want the light shown on it, and it'll sting and it'll hurt, and it's ruthless, but it's got to happen. And so for me, that's probably been one of my deeper and more difficult uh, energies to alchemize, off and on throughout this year, is that war energy. And but I do know that I'm not at war with myself, and I'm not at war with my bloodline, and my intention is nothing but love and healing. It just some days takes a little longer to get there. And that's probably one of those moments that when I mentioned I got to do this again, because I love the feeling when it's all my ancestors and we're all here and there's a big kumbaya and it's gold and it's beautiful. And then the energetics or the planets and all these different systems shift. And then I'm like, it can feel defeating, because it's like, oh, I already did this and I don't want to be so upset with this energy. I don't want this energy. But it's like, well, it's not really about what you want. It's about what you're called to do on this mission, and why you're of service and how you're in service. And this is part of what you signed up for by doing the great work. And this is service. This work that we're doing to know thyself is the great work of service.
Yeah, and the channel opens and flows things in as you need to filter and release. So, we're doing this for our whole lineages, so
Right.
that it stops with us. The buck
Right.
stops here.
That's
And so
right.
if you're really doing your work, the buck does freaking stop here. And so
Right.
sometimes if you can't do it for yourself, look at, I am doing this for my siblings, for my parents, for my parents' parents. I'm doing this for my offspring. I'm doing this for my pets who have absorbed my own DNA through the walls of my house. I'm doing this for everybody else. And until you can actually admit you're more doing it for yourself. So if it makes you have a mission statement that, fine, I'm doing this for you, because somebody has to do this. It has to stop, and we have to step up. And that's the whole thing about waking up and realizing that the programs in which we have indoctrinated within by choice, consciously, subconsciously, passed in, it's locked in there. It's a film of dust all over us, and we got to clean it off and then say, okay, who am I? What do I want? What do I like? How do I feel? Which direction would I like to go in? And then how do I feel when I'm in that direction? And do I want to change directions? And I have the right to be able to make those choices. So I can pivot, I can 360, I can 180, I can go sideways, and it's all okay,
Yeah.
because nobody's going to do it any right or wrong way, because you're going to learn how to do it the way that works for you. And what doesn't work, you'll know.
Yeah, and we haven't done this before. This is, we're frontline. It's like first responders. We're on that front line of the new earth, new human. And we've never done this before. We've never had this kind of alchemical experience. I know living here in Sedona, 2011, 2012, there was the big hype, 11, 11, 12, 12 sort of thing. And then it happened, and it felt like, nothing like in the outside didn't really see much, but on an energetic level, something certainly happened. And that's where we're at right now. We're like, here we go. And now it's this big alchemy that's happening, and it's powerful. But we are on the front lines. We're on the well, I started a community of paladins on my website, and it's like we're the protectors of this new earth. We're here, and we're new human. We're evolving, and it's absolutely beautiful. But I've never had a child, but I I know it's painful from listening, and birthing anything is exciting, but yet can be painful. Even a project that you're birthing, there's
Mhm.
that creativity is so beautiful, but it's also difficult. So again, going back to having compassion for ourselves and recognizing that there's not really an instruction book for this time. It's really, the more that you can have a relationship with yourself and your divine, whether you call it higher self, whatever that is for you, and the clearer that that channel can be, and the more compassion that you can have, those are going to be your friends through this for sure. And we recognize it in our fellow man. I'm not so big of a fan of groups and mob rule. I think you get a lot of people together and they kind of, there's a group think that I'm not a fan of. I am a heretic investigator in human design. I'm very loner type. But I love the individual. How's that? I really, really.
I'm right there with you. I try to judge everyone within that space, like you not really judge them, but I accept with whatever I have there in the moment without any judgment from the outer world. So it's my judgment, my feeling, my thought, my perception of my meet and greet with anything in life, right? And I think we're also at this point with this new energy that our fifth chakras, if you haven't opened them, they're going to explode. There's a power washing that's been going on nice and gentle, but now it's a geyser. So if you find yourself with your claws out and you want to strike out at people and you want to say no, and then you've got to feel like you have to fight for it, that's that war energy too. When you can say, hey, I participated in this, somehow I'm in it, whether I chose it or thought I chose it. I have the opportunity now to stop, drop, sit, connect with my breath, align, get with coaches like Kimberly, ring me up, Sandra, find people to help you get more in touch with yourself. And it doesn't have to be complicated, but however, it does need to be done now because there's a lot of distractions that are even being created among folks like, say, Kimberly and I, who are and have been doing the work and feel like we're pretty doggone steady on that tightrope. We're being tested.
That's right.
Right. And but it's coming up like, oh, slow down. Oh, too much caffeine. Oh, tune into your body, but if those little subtle things weren't occurring, I'd be racing around all over the place right now because the energies are saying run, run, run. And so I think of myself as emanating energy like steam from a water pot. And I'm like, who's sucking all this up for their energy? I need to contain all that, bring it back in, and I need to assess my life and find out what veins am I connecting my energy to, and is it a healthy vein, or do I need to retract, come back in, and recycle that to another vein that is more healthy?
Yeah. And when I love the keep it spiritually simple, as 5/1s, we like practical tools and solutions.
Yes.
And we have a natural gift at seeing systems. And 5 being the most karmic and kind of witchiest number, we do have that gift of sight, that the other lines, they just can't see what 5s can see. And not better or worse, just how the lines work. And so that is something that is very important for me, is keeping it very simple and as a guide, because I make it very clear no one can interpret you better than yourself. So if you're going out and getting readings, or you're looking outside, and there are great readers and those are great tools, but my suggestion is always to learn them for yourself, because nobody can interpret you better than you. And that's even me as a guide that's been using those tools for 25 years. I have very deep intuitive hits. I have a natural gift at connecting dots and systems and helping guide you. But my goal is always, if I take on a coaching client or any sort of client, is like, I want you to have those tools. I don't want that sort of access to your energetics. I don't want that kind of access to your energy I mean, it's given with permission, but I don't want it for long. I want you to do it. I don't want in there. I don't, because I see a lot of coaches, and I just think it's highly, there's a lot of high codependence in there.
Yes.
And I think that there's a danger in not learning it for yourself and always looking outside for the next course, the next this, the next that, when you have the tools inside yourself. You really do. And so a good guide will not want to work with you for long, not be out of something personal, but just because what they want for you is for you to find your sovereignty and your strength and that true north. And it just gives me shivers. There's nothing more rewarding or satisfying for me than when I worked with a client and I saw them at point A, and now they're all the way over here and they're ready. They're just
They're
ready to go.
launched.
They're
Yeah.
ready to go. They're, and that's the most rewarding thing in the world. And of course, staying in contact, because, saying hi every so often, but certainly not on the level of being a guide. I don't even like the word coach. I really don't. I prefer guide. And I think that we all have this intelligent nervous system and GPS system. And once we kind of bushwhack the trail and get in there, and then we know what it's saying, it's just such a rewarding, beautiful feeling to be able to connect with yourself and do the work for yourself.
Yeah, co-friending is very important. And you come together, then you kind of launch off and let them come back if they want to, kind of touch base again
Yeah,
and go back out. I mean, I always tell people the exact same thing. Hey, let's get you launched. I mean, sure, your money's great, but I don't need you to keep coming back on Zoom and at my table
that's right.
unless you really want to. So heck, I'll take your money, fine. And
Yeah,
more than
yeah,
likely, they're like, oh yeah, you're right. I do need to tie my own shoes, button
yeah,
my own coat,
yeah,
and get myself from point A to point B to point
yeah,
Z,
yeah. And
and
I always love having that conversation where,
Mhm.
we'll just do like once a month now and do a touch up. Fine, that's great.
Mhm.
But even before that moment happens, it's like, I think that we're ready here. I think it's time to fly. We're
Mhm.
repeating the same things. You're telling me you're using the tools. I think that right now it's ready for you to fly. So let's go ahead. And other times, when they say they're ready, but there are times when, and I think that I wish that more people that were doing this work would recognize that, and make the decision sometimes that your client may be afraid to make, or at least bring up the conversation saying, hey, I think we're ready to go here. Because I can find it. I mean, I check in with my system and it becomes somewhat draining for me. Yeah,
Sure.
I'm not getting the satisfaction that I got when they were at the beginning, and I'm seeing them making progress. What I'm seeing now is a repetitive, almost stuck in a codependent, like they need this and they don't need me. They
Mhm.
truly don't need me. They've been exhibiting the growth and using the tools, and I know they're doing it. There's like you said, I mean, the money, sure, that's a mutually beneficial exchange of energy, but at some point it stops being mutually beneficial. And if that's on my end, I have to make that call, because then is the money really worth it? Because there's a drain involved in the reciprocation, in the receiving it. And then I just don't see, well, I just think that, ethics are a very big part of this kind of work.
Sure.
And when you have access to someone's chart information, you have a lot of access. And so if you're connecting those dots and now they're connecting, it's time to exit out of their chart. It's not something I want access to anymore. I got enough of my own stuff to deal with. I don't need to have access or to your stuff. I want you to take your stuff and go.
Well, I think too, we want to see people operating on the path of self-reliance.
Mm-hmm.
And many people don't know because they've been programmed. And again, their DNA lineages, I always need something outside of me.
Mm-hmm.
I always need something to help hold me accountable. So a lot of people have never really let go and cut the strings instead of dangling in that direction, cut the strings and actually landed on a platform that says, I am operating from self reliance. I am accountable. I am responsible. And I'm going to just sit here for a moment and decide which way I want to take my feet or my mind or my mouth or my heart. And it's a place that people are not very familiar with, and it feels very uncomfortable. And so again, that's another great way to reach out to, a co-mentor, a co-friend. you know uh, Kimberly's got a lot of things to offer, and I think it's important. And if any of you viewers want to really just take the steps, reach out. Our um, links will be in the description, but Kimberly, please tell the viewers where they can find you.
Thank you. Yeah, you can find me at SedonaHorseMedicine1.com. And anywhere on the socials, really under Sedona Horse Medicine. I do 3 and 5 day retreats, coaching, half-day sessions, single sessions, Zoom calls, that sort of thing. So I'm very reachable, and yeah, I guess that's probably Sedona Horse Medicine, really anywhere.
So Sedona Horse Medicine, and is it the number 1 or 1-ONE?
Well, it's the number 1 until
until you get it changed, but for right now.
I know we talked about that last time.
Yes, we did, but that's okay. I just want people, if they're just quickly writing it down,
It's the
and
number
don't,
1.
yeah,
And then
that's
on
fine.
social media, it's just Sedona Horse Medicine.
Yeah. Well, it'll all link up. So I'll have that down there. Well, Kimberly, this has been very insightful. So I think right now we all need to slow our roll and allow these energies to come through. And we are in the timing chain where it is breaking right now, where you just you got to just get out there and start doing your work. And if you're not sure how to actually do that, or even if you think you might know how to do it, but maybe you would like to have some support or designed program sort of thing that may help you do a couple things and keep it simple, reach out to Kimberly and take a look. You're welcome to reach out to me, but we need to really work on slowing our roll, not having as many distractions. Holidays are coming up, and this is a big time where everyone's got, they want to do all the good things. They want to go by fast. They want to enjoy family, but there's a lot of heavy burden that comes, financial burden that comes along with what's going on in the next couple months. And that's also designed, that's a whole other topic. So you can either just say, no, I'm not going to do all that stuff this year, because anyone that loves me would never want to see my credit card bills in January, February, and know what that feels like. So I'm going to do something different this year. And Kimberly, maybe that's a topic we could come up with the next time, is how maybe not to fall into this holiday syndrome. And we could maybe bring up some
calendar.
Yes. So, it has been a pleasure as always. So much fun. I just love you dearly, and I appreciate your time. I know you're busy, but I think this has been insightful for all the viewers. And again, girlfriend, you stay put. We're just going to say goodbye to the viewers, but viewers, like, subscribe, and share. Leave us a comment and a question, and Kimberly, say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.